students are going to enjoy the session.
Yes, definitely. I will try my best.
Okay. So Yogesh, can we start with the session? You're mute.
Good morning, everyone present here. We'll be starting the session. So, the startup may need numerous licenses, approvals, or permit to carry out their ideas. Since a lack of legal awareness may result in penalization and even unethical or criminal behavior, licenses, permissions, and permit may be required for different businesses. Thus, before beginning a business, a person should be informed of local laws, rules, and regulations. The goal of a startup is to make profit, however, while making a profit, ethics should not be overlooked. Startups must be follow all the rules and regulations while also remembering their responsibility to the community, individuals, consumers, and the firm. On this thought, I, Yogesh Sharma, welcome you all to the webinar on planning for startup ethical and legal steps, organized by Delhi School of Management in collaboration with Institute of Innovation Council (ICC) at DTU and University Innovation and Incubation Foundation (DIIF). Established in 2009, Delhi School of Management is widely acknowledged for academic excellence in management education. We strive and incubate our students with the managerial competence through specialized knowledge and skills, while simultaneously empowering their minds through quality teaching and consulting and other professional services in order to fulfill the role of a vibrant model institute capable of imparting quality education in the area of management studies. The flagship program is of the 2-year full-time regular MBA and a 2-year weekend MBA executive program, which caters to the need of working as executives who aspire to learn professional and managerial skills, and doctoral programs, PhD in management. The institute has a good placement record. Around 100 plus recruiters participate in the recruitment drive last year, among which 57 were the first-time recruiters. Some of the top recruiters include KPMG, Google, ENY, American Express, HCL, and many more. Now, without taking much time, I'd like to take the opportunity to welcome our resource person, Mr. Vivek Sharma, and also our HOD, Dr. Ashna Singh, and our Dr. Dipali Manotra. Mr. Vivek Sharma is a fellow member of ICSI and has more than 13 years of experience and is currently the company secretary at his own firm, which is Vivek Sharma and Associates, and co-founder at DIIF Corporate Advisory LLP. INRC ISCS has presented him with a token of appreciation for giving honorary academy services, which we are pleased to have you, sir. We request you to enlighten our participants.
Thank you very much, Vivek. Is my PPT visible?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
So, with the permission of the Parliament, should I start the session?
Sure, sir. It's all yours.
Okay.
Please go
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, all the participants, for attending this session. And today I'm taking a session on the topic of startup, a detailed overview. So, during the presentation, we have to come to know about the flow of the presentation is as follows, right? Type of entities and the regulatory frameworks, and incorporation and registration under the Startup India Initiative, overview of startups, protection of IPRs, license and registration which is required for a startups, agreement and the contract, and some general mistakes by the entrepreneur which must be avoided, right? So type of a business ownership in India. So we have, if any person wants to start any business, they have a several option to choose. First, he or she can start the business with the sole proprietorship firm, right? That is also startup, but to take the benefit, there is some confusion in the for the definition of the startup. Startup definition defined in the Startup India initiative is different. Yeah.
Sir, actually your slides are not moving.
Okay, just one.
It's still, so I think it should be on slideshow mode.
Move हो रही है?
Yeah.
Fine. So if anyone want to start a business, they have a several option to choose the business ownership entity. Like, so there is a difference between startup and Startup India definition. If we talk about the startup definition in the Startup India initiative, they have to be a private limited company, LLP limited liability partnership, or a registered partnership. Government of India recognize only 3 types of entity as a startup India. But other than, we can also call a startup for the sole proprietorship firm. So first step is to start any business. You can choose a proprietorship firm, you can choose a partnership firm, you can choose a limited liability partnership company. So we will discuss each and everything. What is the proprietorship firm? So proprietorship is a living person who is the owner of a sole proprietorship firm. A proprietor must be a living person and cannot be corporate or a legal entity. So the proprietor and the sole proprietorship are one and the same under the eyes of law. So if any individual person want to start a business without taking any help from the others, and he or she can start a business, so that is a sole proprietorship firm, right? In the proprietorship firm, the PAN and the document of the proprietor are the basis for obtaining all the business registration and license. In case of any issue or liability in the sole proprietorship business, the sole proprietor is held as a personal liable for the liability. In the sole proprietorship firm, the liability of a business is unlimited, right? That is a traditional form of a business to start a business. But in that case, in the proprietorship firm, if we talk about proprietorship firm, is neither registered anywhere. You have to take only the GST registration number or any other registration like MSME registrations. You can take it and start your business, open your current account and start the business. But that is not recognized by the Startup India initiative. But you must have to aware about what do you mean by the proprietorship firm. And another form of starting a business is partnership firm. So as the name suggests, partnership, if any one person, more than one person start a business, they can start a business with the name partnership firm. So partnership is in relationship between the persons who have agreed to share the profit of a business carried on by all or any of them acting for all. So type of a partnership if we talks about. So partnership firm, we can start a partnership firm with the unregistered partnership firm and the registered partnership firm. So what is the difference between unregistered partnership firm or registered partnership firm? For example, Mr. A and B want to start a business as a partnership firm. They first to have draft the partnership agreement between A and B and get it notarized from the court. So get it notarized from any notary or court. Then they can start the business, open the current account, take the PAN number in that partnership firm, for example, ABN Enterprises. That is the unpartnership firm, right? So that is a unpartnership firm. If we talk about the registered partnership, the same partnership deed should be registered with the registrar of partnership firm, that is called SDM, Sub-Divisional Magistrate, in where your registered office is located of your partner.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
The slides are not moving again. Can you please check your internet connection?
Okay, just hold on. Now it's moving.
No, sir.
Just hold
Yes, sir.
Sir, actually, the
Partnership
issue is that you have to just present without going into the slideshow mode. Just present. Thanks.
on. Now it's moving.
Yes, sir. It's visible and moving now.
So sole proprietorship firm we already have discussed, and the partnership. So anyone can start a business in the partnership firm. They have a two choice of option. Either they can start a business as an unregistered partnership firm or with the registered partnership firm. The difference between is that for the unregistered partnership firm, you don't go for the SGM for the registration of your partnership firm. The cost is very less as compared to the registered partnership firm. You can start that, like I am giving an example. For example, if you are taking any property on a rent, you have a two option. Either you can register your rent agreement at the court of law, or you can just draft a rent agreement, get it signed, get it notarized, right? So same way in the partnership, you have a two option. Either you can start a business as an unregistered partnership firm, only draft the partnership agreement, get it notarized, and start take the PAN number of that partnership firm, open a current account, take a separate registration like a GST registrations and MSME registrations and any other things. But if you want to, there is a disadvantage that if any unregistered partnership firm having any dispute arising between the partner and between any third party, they cannot challenge in the court of law, because in the court of law, unregistered partnership will not be entertained by the court of law. So you must have to register a partnership firm. For a registration of partnership firm, you must have a draft partnership agreement. Then you have visit to the SGM Sub Divisional Magistrate Office and get your partnership firm as a registered partnership firm. You will get the registration certificate, separate registration certificate for the registered partnership firm. And as I've already told you that in my previous slide, that for the startup benefit, Startup India initiative, registered partnership firm is allowed. They recognize as a startup, right? And another form, that is in the year 2008. In the year 2008, new act came into the force in India with the name of Limited Liability Partnership, right? And if we talk about the partnership, again, the liability is unlimited. I will explain in my later slide what is the difference between liability is unlimited or limited liability. So that is an upper version, you can say that is an upper version of a partnership firm with the limited liability. So LLP is an alternative corporate business form that gives the benefit of limited liability of a company and flexibility of a partnership. LLP is a separate legal entity and is liable to a full extent of its assets, but the liability of a partner is limited to the aggregate contribution in the LLP. Means your liabilities are limited till the amount you have invested in that. So your personal assets will not at a stake at the time of LLP. If you are a partner in LLP, your personal assets is not at the stake. But if we talk about partnership firm or proprietorship firm, your personal assets will also at the stake. And another form to start a business.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
So can you please make it full screen? Thank you, sir.
Another form to start a business is company. So company is a legal entity formed by a group of individuals to engage in and operate a business enterprises in a commercial or an industrial capacity. So features for incorporation of a company is separate legal entity, perpetual succession, member may come, member may go, but the company goes forever. And the liability is limited. Share and their transferabilities. You can transfer your shares. Company is not a citizen, and separation of ownership and the management. So separation of ownership and management, if we talk about, there is a two terms defined in the Companies Act, director and the shareholder. So director are the person who hold the management of the company. And if we talk about shareholder, they are the owner of the company. If anyone want to ask any question in between that, they can ask it. So types of a company. If anyone want to start a business as a company, they have a several options. Either they can start a person, they can start a company with the name one person company. That is the upper version of a proprietorship firm. One person company means a proprietorship firm wants to start a business with the entity of a company. So you must have written OPC with your name. For example, ABCD, ABC, OPC Private Limited. You must to have to say about before the private limited company, you have to must write down the proprietorship firm as a one person company. And another form is private limited company. Another form is public limited company and Section 8 company. Section 8 company is an NGO, not profit organization. If you don't want to take a profit for the society, if you want to incorporate a company, you must have to incorporate a Section 8 company. So there is a difference between business ownership, like we have already discussed about the sole proprietorship
Excuse
firm.
me, sir.
Yeah.
So apologies for disturbing, but the slides are stuck again.
Okay.
Now it's visible, sir.
Now it's visible.
Yes, sir. So please don't put it in the presentation mode. It will get stuck again. Please
I
show
will
it
do
in the
one
top.
thing. I will do one thing after moving the slide. I have to again put it on the slideshow, right? So
No,
for
sir.
the-
Don't put it in slide. No worries, sir.
Okay, but one of your student want to ask for a full screen. That's why I'm saying. No? Anyways, I will try my best. Now it's showing the business ownership and advantage and disadvantage.
Yes, sir. It's so showing, but not in full screen. So you don't bother to keep it full screen. It's visible.
Okay. So sole proprietorship firm, business owner. So we have discussed about the sole proprietorship. Every identity has an advantage and disadvantage. You must be aware while selecting your starting of your business. You have to select very carefully. So what should have to be there? So sole proprietorship firm, partnership firm, LLP, company, OPC, private limited company or public limited company. So what is the advantage in the sole proprietorship firm? The major advantage is a one-man show, right? One-man show, but disadvantage is that liability is unlimited. Means in case any business loss arises, then the liability is unlimited. The proprietor personal assets will be at stake, right? He has to be compensate all the losses to sell his house, his personal assets to bear that loss. So that is called the unlimited liability. And as I have already told you, proprietorship firm is neither registered anywhere. So your name is not secured. For example, you are doing any business with the name of sole proprietorship firm, and the same name can be taken by any other person, like a partnership, LLP company, any other person. So you cannot challenge him that this proprietorship firm, your name is secured. So name is not secured in the sole proprietorship firm. Although you can take a trademark certificate, that is a different trade name certificate. That is a different. I will discuss about what is the trademark or trade name. And in the partnership firm, advantage is that less compliances, but again the disadvantage is liability is unlimited and the name is not secured. For example, you are doing a business in Rohini, right? In the partnership firm, you are doing a business in Rohini and you have incorporated a partnership of either registered or unregistered. If we take the example of registered partnership firm, your jurisdiction SGM falls under Kanjhavala. You have registered with the any partner name of the partnership like Ganpati Enterprises, and your name is not secured. If any one person want to start a business with the name of a Ganpati Enterprises in the area Dwarka, they can apply to that SGM, that jurisdiction with the name of Ganpati Enterprises. So your name is not secured in the partnership firm or a sole proprietorship firm. Liability is unlimited. Now, we have to move with the upper version of the sole proprietorship firm and the partnership firm. That is a LLP, Limited Liability Partnership. As the name suggests, liability is limited. No requirement of a compulsory audit. For example, you have incorporated LLP till the capital of rupees 40 lakh, till the capital of rupees 20 lakh, 25 lakh, and the capital or turnover of rupees 40 lakh, 40 lakh rupees ki turnover and 25 lakhs capital. You don't require to get it audit from the chartered accountant. So you can start. So according to the need of the startup, we always advise to start a business with the LLP, then convert into a company in the private limited or public limited company according to the need of the client. So liability is limited, no compulsory requirement of the requirement of a compulsory audit, but the disadvantage is higher penalty for non-compliances. If you have to file only 2 forms to the registrar of company, but if you fail to file the forms, then you have to pay a higher penalty. So that is a disadvantage. But if you are doing a business and you have a good professional with your company or LLP, then you don't take attention of a higher penalty for a non-compliances. And that another form is company. Company liability is limited, credibility and reputation, costs are high as compared to the other one, and strict provisional law. So there is a strict provision of law, like who can give the loan to the directors, who can a company give a loan to the director, can a company take a loan from the director, and there is others. So that is governed by the Companies Act 2030. So you have to comply all the rules and regulations, all the acts, rules, notification which the Companies Act says. So strict provisions of a law. And there is a difference between OPC. OPC means one person company, organized sector of a proprietorship firm. A single person can start with the firm OPC. And there is a disadvantage that if you have crossed the threshold limit of rupees paid up share capital of rupees 50 lakh or turnover of rupees 2 crore, you have to be within a 6-month compulsory convert your OPC into a private limited company. That is a major disadvantage in the OPC. And for the private limited company, liabilities are limited, closely held company, and disadvantage is the compliances. Although that is not a disadvantage, but if you hire a good professional with your company, that is not a disadvantage. But you have to take care to start a business and select the ownership. And another is a public limited company. Liabilities are limited. You accept a public deposit and the compliances. For a public limited company, then you can invite for the IPO, FPO for the public. So this is the theory about how you select your business entity. Once you select your business entity, is my PPT is visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So for incorporation of, if you select your identity, ownership, whether you want to start a proprietorship firm, partnership firm, LLP company, then you have to incorporating the startup and registered with the Startup India initiative. For example, I am taking the example of a company. So step involved for incorporation of a company. First, we have to select who is the first director of the company. There is a definition of the director who will start the business, and the subscriber. Subscriber of the company are the promoter of the company who can be a director or not. Most of the time, some of a person are confused with the director and the subscriber. Subscriber means the original subscriber or promoter of the company who subscribe the initial shares to the memorandum of associations. For example, I want to incorporate a company with the name of ABCD Private Limited. So in that case, for example, A and B are the director of the company. They are the first director of the company, and they are not holding any single share. But C and D are the subscriber of the company. So we have to select that is who one wants to become a first director of the company and the subscriber of the company. Subscriber are the shareholder of the company, first shareholder of the company. Then we have to apply for the digital signature certificate. That is called digital signature certificate, digital signature. That is a valid for a 1 year, 2 year, or 3 year. You will get one pen drive, and that is a valid for a 2 year or 3 years. You have to renew that. Then you must have to create proposed director should have a valid DIN number. DIN number means director identification number, that is valid for the lifetime of the director, right? So that is a valid from the lifetime of the director DIN number. That is a 8-digit code will be allotted by the code digit number allotted by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs to check that how many companies directors are holding a position as a director, designated partners. So DIN number is allotted. So you must have a valid DIN number. Only every year you must comply with the director DIN KYC you have to file, but that is a valid for the lifetime of the director. Then you must apply for the reservation of a name and by the professional or the promoters. So in the company, you cannot take any name. First, you have to file to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs 2 names in order of preference. For example, if you want to incorporate a company with the name of XYZ Private Limited or ABCD Private Limited, in the as per the your availability of the name by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, right? So you must apply for the name. Once you get the name approval certificate, you have to file balance document, remaining document, that is called the incorporation document, to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, like drafting of memorandum of association, drafting of article of association, consent declaration, and the other forms. That is called the incorporation form. You have to file to the registrar of companies. Once your form is approved, then you will get the certificate of incorporation, company's PAN number, TAN number, ESI, PF number. You will get everything after that. Then what you have to do that once your company is, most of the time we have seen that people incorporated a company and start the business, but they don't know. Is my PPT is visible?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay, thank you. So once you incorporate a company, I'm taking example of a company for a private limited company, most of the time they forget, because from the lack of, if you don't have a good professional in your company or you don't have a much knowledge about the law, you forget this basic document, basic compliances. So once you incorporate a company, first you have to conduct a first board meeting of the directors, open a bank account, appointment of auditor. If you are incorporated to any OPC, private limited company or a public limited company, from the very first day, within a 30 days from the date of incorporation, you must have to appoint an auditor, a chartered accountant as an auditor of the company. So you can't say that your turnover is nil, your business is not yet started. So what type of audit we required? As per the law, as per the Companies Act, Section 139 says if any private limited, if any company incorporated within a 30 days, they have to incorporate a statutory auditor of the company, whether they have a turnover or not, whether they have any business or not. You have to be compulsory. Most of the time, first they forgot to appoint a appointment of auditors. Then registered office of the company, where your registered office of the company is located. Then commencement of business, that is very much important. Once you open a current account, you have to transfer the subscriber money to the current account of the company from the saving account of the subscriber. For example, you have incorporated a company ABCD Private Limited Company. First, within a 30 days, you have to hold a first board meeting, and you have to pass a resolution for the open of a current account in any bank account, whether it is a private or a government. Once you open a current account of the company, the subscriber of the memorandum should have to transfer the subscription money, initial money, to the current account of the company from the saving account, and you have to be filed one INC 28, that is called the commencement of business. Most of the time, if you forget to file this commencement of a business, the registrar of a company has a power to remove your name from the register of members, register of companies, ROC. So they can remove your name. So your company can be wind up by the registrar of company, strike off by the registrar of company on the basis that you don't file the INC 28, that is a commencement of a business. Another form is letterhead of the company. So in the letterhead of the company, proper full name of the company, CIN number, corporate identification number, SIN number should be there, email ID, phone number should be there, registered office address should be there. So as per Section 12, you must be comply with the letterhead of the company. Then issue of share certificate. once you will get the amount from the subscriber, you must issue a share certificate to the subscriber to the memorandum. That share certificate should be stamp duty, should pay the valid stamp duty on the share certificate, and you have to maintain some statutory registers, minute books, and you have to every year you have to conduct the board meeting, like 4 board meeting in a year, 1 general meeting that is called the AGM, annual general meeting should be there. So you have to be aware about this post incorporation compliances. Your work is not finished if you have incorporated the company and you forget it. You have to be comply all the post incorporation compliances for the private limited company. Why I am emphasizing on this part? Because in my past experience, I have seen that most of the startup came to my office, they start the business, they get the certificate of incorporation, and after that, they are busy in their research, their technical innovations, and in everywhere. But they forgot to comply this part of the post incorporation. So what happens? Either ROC strike off their name, or they will get lot of higher penalties from the non-compliances of the post incorporation. Or for example, if they will get any funding from any foreign investors or any investor like angel investors, they have to be check your data, like your certificate of incorporation, your director's appointment or auditor's appointment upon your bank account. So whether you have to comply all the compliances or not. So that is called the due diligence of your company. If you fail to forget these compliances, might be they will not give you a funding, right? So you must be aware about the post incorporation compliances. So now what we have understand: first, type of ownership; second, incorporation; and another is registered with the Startup India initiative. That is a separate. Once you will get the certificate of incorporation, you have to be applied to the Startup India initiative. So for a Startup India initiative, you must to incorporate your business as a private limited company or a partnership firm or a LLP, limited liability partnership. So if we talk about the partnership, registered partnership
So
firm.
there are few students
Yeah,
who
yeah,
have
please.
and then who wants to ask the questions. So I think
Yes.
Good,
questions in between.
good afternoon, sir. My name is Yash, sir.
Yes.
Sir, actually, my question is if the company is going to be bankrupt, sir, I'm talking about LLP. So,
Okay.
what are the possibilities of how they recover their money, sir?
If any LLP is going to bankrupt,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
okay. So for bankrupt, there is a one law that is called IBC, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, right? Although they have to be comply with the companies. For a LLP, we have to first check the valuation, how much amount is spending. First, we have, for example, if any official liquidator is appointed for the LLP, they must check how much. Either they can revive it, they can sell it to the any other person who can start the business, or they have an option, they can check the LLP balance sheet. First, if any assets is there, they can sell it to the general person as an auction. If amount recovered, first they have to pay to the statutory dues, like the government dues, like the income tax, GST. First they have to pay to the statutory dues. Second, they have to pay to the employee of the LLP. Third, they have to give the creditor of the company or LLPs. Then if the amount is remaining, then they can distribute to the designated partner or the partners of the firm.
So, sir, why the people choose it? Because it's a very risky, sir, and I don't think so. Okay, it's a very good form of company accepting it.
You are talking about the LLP?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
See, the same law is applicable for any other entity types of entity also. If you are doing a business as a company also, they have to be follow these rules. Like to appoint a official liquidator, they can check your company balance sheet. If any asset is there, they can send it to the for auction. If the amount is recovered, first the amount should be paid to the statutory dues like the income tax, GST, or any other government dues. Then they have to make the payment to the creditors or the employees and this. So you have to be very clear, very carefully follow this procedure only. So your question, there is a two. You have asked me a two question. Like first for the insolvency, like a bankruptcy, and second is a why we choose a LLP or a company. So I have already informed you in the LLP the compliances are less, right? You don't, for example, if you incorporated a company, from the very first day you have to appoint an auditor. For example, if anyone incorporate a company, within a 1 year or 2 year, they don't have any business, they don't have any much income, but they have to be paid to the auditor or the chartered accountant or a company secretary, right? That is, as a startup, from the very first 2 or 3 years, they are in the break even point, although you can say a loss facing point. After 3 years they become the break even point. After 3 to 5 years they become the profit making. So that is only depending upon the business to business. So we are not blindly suggest everyone to start with the LLP. We suggest according to the need, according to the business, according to the discussion with the clients. But most of the time we suggest to the LLP because initial expenses, initial post compliances expenses are less, right? And they can convert into a private limited company any point of a time.
Okay, sir. And sir, I have a next question also.
Yes.
So my next question is, sir, I heard about the Nidhi. Actually, right now I'm not remembering the Nidhi company. So what is the difference between Nidhi and NGO, sir? Can you please tell me?
Well, yes, definitely. So NGO, so if any one person want to start a business or want to start a social services, they have a three options. First, either they can start a social service as a trust. They can register with they can execute a trust deed and start a business as a trust, settler and trustee. And another form is to start a social service as a society. And the third one, that is a body corporate form, that is called the Section 8 company. If you have seen that your DTU is also incorporated as a Section 8 company, right? So if anyone want to start for a social services, they have a three options: trust, society, and Section 8 company. So this, and for a social, if you don't want to take a benefit or a profit, and your main objective is promoting art, science, and culture and social service, you have only three options. And if we talk about the Nidhi company, Nidhi company is a business making company in which they accumulate all the fundings from the farmers, from the small investors. For example, they have take a single, for example, 100 rupees amount membership fees. Like you can say, like इसको हम बोल सकते हैं कमेटी, यू कैन से इन अ लेमैन लैंग्वेज कमेटी, कि वो 100 रुपीज या एक मेंबरशिप देते हैं आपको. देन दे एक्यूमुलेटेड, दे बिकम द मेंबर ऑफ द कंपनी, एंड after that it's a kind of a NBFC, non-banking financial company, but not a non-banking financial company. So Nidhi company accept the small deposit saving from the small members from the rural area, and they can become the member of the Nidhi company. And the main objective is to open a saving account or FD account or a recurring deposit account in that company. For example, in a rural area, every banks cannot move out. So they incorporate a company with the Nidhi and take the money from the smaller farmers, smaller person as a RD, or you can say as a fixed deposit amount. And with the interest, they, as per the agreement, like FD for a 2 year, 3 year, 5 years, or RD for a 1 year, with the interest, they pay back to the farmers or the small person who are residing in the village area.
Sir, it's a kind of, can we say that, sir? Actually, I remember right now, sir. Self-help group, sir.
Yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
So I had a question.
Yes. Please go
So,
ahead.
sir, how hard or easier it is to convert a sole proprietorship company to a private limited company? Like because in initial time, so it is not we are not sure about the future prospects of the company. So
Exactly.
okay, so So in few blogs I read that it is easier, but few blogs said that it's not that easier to convert a sole proprietorship into a private limited.
Exactly. There is not much easier, but first we have to decide one cutoff date. For example, we are taking a cutoff date as a 31st March 2022. We have to evaluate their assets, right? We have to value their business. We have to evaluate their net worth certificate, like how much liability proprietorship firm has, how much assets we have. So assets minus liability become the net worth of the proprietorship firm. The amount which remains, then they incorporate a company. Most of the time, what we are facing the problem that the name of the proprietorship firm is not reserved. Now you want to convert that name into a private limited company. Most of the time we have seen that you cannot get the same name as a private limited company, because you have to apply to the registrar of company from the name. For example, I am starting a business with the name of DIIF Corporate Advisory as a proprietorship firm. Now my business become very successful. Now I want to convert my proprietorship firm DIIF Corporate Advisory into a private limited company. I have to apply to the ROC, Registrar of Company, for my name as a private limited company. When I apply as a DIIF Corporate Advisory Private Limited Company, the same name is not available. So first challenge I have to face, that I have to change my name, because that is name is already given by the ROC to any other person. And another form is to take over the business, like to check my valuation. So these are the problem which we are generally faced, but according to the proper guidance under the professionals, we can take it as an easier way.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So,
So one more. Why is it nowadays necessary to register under MSME? Like I went to open the current account of my company, so they asked for the MSME certificate and the GST number. So
yes. So you have incorporated as a proprietorship firm or a private limited company?
The proprietorship.
Yes. So very good question. As I've already told you in my previous slide, that proprietorship firm is neither registered anywhere. So what type of a proof you have to submit to the bank that your firm is? For example, if I want to start a business, right? I'm taking example. I want to start up a business with the Ganpati Enterprises, right? Now I have incorporated a proprietorship firm, right? I go to the bank and said that please open a current account with the Ganpati Enterprises. They ask me the proof of registered certificate issued by the Government of India. Then I don't have a registered certificate for the proprietorship firm. Then they ask any two certificate issued by the Government of India. Otherwise, they will open the bank account, current account. You have opened the current account. Maybe person will issue a false checks, bouncing checks, or misuse the name of the current account. So to ensure that you are doing a business in a very rightful or legalful manner, you must have to produce two certificate issued by the Government of India. So they can ask for the GST certificate, I have already told you, and the MSME, micro, medium and small enterprises, that is called Udyam registration nowadays. Earlier, MSME is issued only to the service industry and the manufacturing industry. So trader are excluded from the MSME. But nowadays, trader also can get the MSME Udyam registration, and you must produce as a proof of your business to the bank to open the current account. That's why they ask two certificates as a proof of business, name of business.
Okay, sir. So and in the bank, sir, I got to file. Sir, एक जगह sign करना पड़ा था कि हमारी company MLM multi level marketing नहीं करती. So what मतलब उसके पीछे वो क्या है?
Yes. Most of the business are see, bank want to ensure that you are not doing any business which is to be regulated by the government of law. So if you are taking, for example, your intention is very clear, but another person is there, they incorporate a proprietorship firm and they don't have any certificate like a GST or MSME. So how the bank will issue the checkbook or open a current account. Now they open the current account and they are doing any business like a MLM, multi-level marketing, because that has to be governed by the MLM department. There is another department. So you have created. So in India, MLM is banned to the some extent. You have to comply. Like for if we talk about the needy company, so any person cannot start the business as a needy company. You have to comply with the needy rules in which is defined under the Companies Act. Same the MLM, same the other rules. So you have to be follow all the rules and regulation which is defined under the rule. So bank want to ensure that you will not do any business which is restricted by the government of India. So that's why they have taken a affidavit or taken a declaration from you that you don't do any MLM business.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I do have a question.
Yes.
First, is the same situation will apply for the private limited also, because I've just registered my company. Second is the ROC which you are talking about after registering the current account. Either we should register for the Startup India, then we have to follow the process for the due diligence and quarterly meetings, or if you're not registering for the Startup India, so even we have to do that.
First, we have to incorporate a business as a private limited company, only a private limited company, limited liability partnership, or registered partnership. If any entity you choose, you incorporated it, you get the certificate of incorporation, then you have to apply to the Startup India initiative, that is called Startup India certificate. That is called the DIPP certificates.
Sir,
right?
about that Startup India certificate which you're talking about, I was thinking ki first let's just develop the product and have some kind of a MVP, then we'll go for the Startup India. Right now we are just registered the private limited company.
Okay. Yes, you can do it. Definitely you can do it. But you must be aware that for getting the benefit for the Startup India initiative, there is some condition I will share in my next slides, in the next slides, in which you came to know that for getting a Startup India registration, you must have a 10-year of your age of a business, age of a company should not be more than 10 years. For example, you're developing something and you have crossed the 10 years, then your company will not called as a startup. First thing. Second, for example, you are developing something, you innovative something, but now you want to apply for a trademark, you want to apply for any patent. But if you are registered immediately after incorporation of your business, you will, for example, you are going to apply trademark, your government fees will be reduced to the 50%. For example, you have incorporated a company with the XYZ Private Limited now, and you have applied for the trademark. So you have to make the payment to the government 9,000 rupees per class fees. But if you have a certificate from the DIIP, that is a startup, your government fees will become the 50% waive off. That is become the 4,500 rupees for a one class, for a one point of a business. There is a classes I will share in the my later part of the PPT. So my advice to you that you can wait for a 1 year, 1 year or maybe less than 1 year. You must incorporate once you incorporate a private limited company, you must incorporate a DIAP. Although they will ask you some things like how much innovation, what type of innovation you are doing, what type of employment generation you are doing. So that is not much easy, but you have to be apply for the Startup India certificates once you will get the certificate of incorporation to take the benefit, like from the trademark, like from the patent. If you are doing any innovation, your 80% of the patent fees will be waived off by the government of India under the Startup India scheme. So there are a lot of other benefits also there.
That's it. Okay, thank you.
Any other question?
Yes, sir, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
So, do I have to hire a legal advisor full time, or can I just have an external legal advisor whom I only pay on a need to know basis?
Yes. So initially, I will not recommend you to hire a legal advisor on a full-time basis, because as you are newly incorporated or newly startup companies, because my focus is that, because if your financial burden will be on your higher side, so most of the time you will not able to survive for a long period. So first take the advice from the consultant, like a retainership services or any consultant. After that, if you are on a growing stage, the time will arrive, then you have to employ, you have to be take a service on a full-time basis also, but not at the initial stage. Otherwise you are under the financial burden to make the payment to the consultants.
Thank you, sir.
Any other question?
So one last question. If you
Yeah,
don't mind.
yes, please go ahead.
So the issue while registering for my company was that I was not able to get any NOC from Delhi NCR. So I have registered through my hometown, which is Mirzapur.
Okay.
So later on, will I get any problem, any kind of
No, there is no
due
problem.
diligence issue?
No, there is no problem. Although there is a one thing which we must to keep in our mind, that in the letterhead of the company, everywhere you must have to return the registered office of the company. That is, I think you are talking about the Mirzapur or wherever. But in that case, you have to must compulsory write down the registered office of the address of your company. Apart from registered office, you can do business anywhere, right? You can use your office as a corporate office, branch office, licensing office, anywhere in Delhi, Gurgaon, Pune, Maharashtra, wherever, right? So you can do, but for compliances of the letterhead, as well as other things, like registered office must have to contain the sign board of the company, like name of the company should be there, right? And books of account should be maintained at the registered office of the company, right? So you have to be very careful about the registered office of the company. And one more thing, at any point of time, if you have a finances, you can convert your registered office to any other state, right? But the amount, why I'm emphasizing on the finance, because the cost for changing of registered office from one state to the another state is very high, because you have to take the regional director permission, newspaper advertisement. The process is very lengthy. So although the cost will be around 40 to 50,000 rupees, then you can change your registered office from Mirzapur to any part of the state. So you can do it. But if you are doing a business in any state, and you can, in the state, you can change anywhere. For example, you are doing a business in Delhi. Right now, you are located in Rohini, and now you want to move your business registered office in the Janakpuri. You can do it with the 1,000 rupees or 2,000 rupees fees, right? But
Right.
to change
So there won't be any issue regarding the government
there is
approval.
no, there is no issue. There
Then
is
it's
no
okay.
issue. At any point of a time you can do, but that's why I am giving you example. In a state, the cost is, for example, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. Outside stage, the cost will be 50,000, 60,000, according to the capital, according to the capital of the company, or any other matter we have to discuss for the newspaper advertisement, and the cost is high.
That's it. Thank you.
So any other question?
Sir, there are a few questions in chat box.
Yes, please go ahead. Yes.
I can read it for you. So one student is asking that is the auditor appointed by the company independent, or can he or she be the member of that company?
Your voice is not up to the mark.
I'm audible now.
Yes.
So one of the students had written in the chat box that is the auditor appointed by the company independent, or can he or she be the member of that company?
No. So the auditor should be appointed by the company as an independent. He must hold the certificate of a practice from the Chartered Accountant Institute of Chartered Accountant of India, right? So he cannot be the member of the company, right? I can understand. For example, he's the shareholder of the company. He can't be, because it becomes the related party transaction.
Okay, sir.
Right. So if there any other question, then we will move to the another part of the PPT.
No questions, sir. We can move forward.
Okay, sure. So once you incorporate, now my PPT is visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. So after incorporation, you for now, for getting the certificate from the DIIF, the entity should be incorporated as a private limited company, registered partnership firm, or LLP. And you have to follow all the normal procedure for registration of any business, like obtaining the certificate of incorporation, partnership, PAN, and other requirements. Once you get all the document, then the process is very simple. You have to create your profile under the Startup India initiative, or you can hire for any other professional to get this registered certificate. Once your profile is created on the website, you can apply for the various acceleration. You have to file the Startup India website and fill the form and detail of your business. After entering this detail, the Startup India profile is created. Your profile is created on the website, and you can apply for the various acceleration, incubator, mentorship program, and other challenges on the websites, along with the getting the access like learning development program, government schemes, state policy for the startups, and other services. So get the DPIIT recognition. So high quality intellectual property services and resources. So what are the access you avail the benefits? So high quality intellectual property services. So I will discuss about one by one. High quality intellectual, like I have already told you, that you will get the 50% rebate from fees waiver on the trademark and 80% on the patent. Right? You will get the benefit. Relaxation in public procurement norm means most of the time, if any tender will arise and any tender will be issued by the government of India, they have a certain set of format that the business should be more than 3 years of business. They have a 3 years of experience. They must have 100 crore of turnover. So for getting the set, if you are a startup and register with the DPIIT, then most of the time you have seen that you will get the relaxation in public procurement norms. And apart from that, if you are doing any business, you can register your company on a GEM portal, government e-marketplace. Then self-certification under the labor and environmental law, easy winding up of a company, access to the funds, and tax exemption for the 3 consecutive years, and tax exemption on the investment over the fair market value. Step 4, that is a document for the registration. What are the documents required? Incorporation and registered certificate of your startups, details of our directors and partners, proof of concept like pitch deck, website link, video in case of validation, early transition, and scaling stage of startup, patent and trademark detail optional, and PAN number of the company. Once that's it, the certificate of recognition will be issued after the examination. Within 2 or 3 days, you will get the recognition number. But there is you must be aware that while uploading the form, you must have to be transfer all the legal informations and the valid documents. Otherwise, fine of 50% of your paid up capital of the startup with the minimum of 25,000. If you are uploading any wrong information, uploaded wrong document or false document. So overview of a startup. So Startup India, we some part of a PPT I will skip because that is so there is a startup. If you talk about what do you mean by Startup India? Startup India is a revolution scheme that has been started to help the people who want to start their own business. These people have ideas and capabilities, so the government will have support to make sure they can implement their ideas and grow. The campaign was first launched by the Prime Minister Modi in his 15th August 2015 address from the Red Fort. So take up one idea, make that one idea your life. Think of it, dream of it, Live on that idea. Let the brain, muscles, nerve, every part of your body be full of that idea and just leave every other idea alone. This is the way to success. Startup India definitions, which at the time of 2016, definition was there. At the time of 2018, definition is this. At the newly, if we talk about the new Startup India definition, now, as of now, what is the definition of Startup India definition? So, entity shall be considered as a startup up to a period of 10 years from the date of incorporation or registration. If it is incorporated as a, so एक तो one condition we have to satisfy, that up to the period of 10 years you can call it as a startup. If it is incorporated as a private limited company, registered partnership firm, and LLP or LLP, so only 3 entity can be said that that is a startup, and up to the 10 years from the date of incorporation. Another condition which you have to satisfy, the turnover of the entity of any of the financial year since the incorporation or registration has not exceed 100 crore. For example, once you cross the 10 years, you are excluded with the definition of startup. Second, if you have crossed the financial year turnover 100 crore, then you are excluded from the definition from the startup. Entity is working toward innovation. The purpose is you have to be compliant with the entity is working toward innovation, development, or improvement of a product or a process or a services, or if it is a scalable business model with the high potential of employment generation or a wealth creation, provided that any entity formed by the splitting up or reconstruction of any existing business shall not be considered as a startup. So as of now, this Startup India definition exists, right? So that is a Startup India entity. Why Startup India required? To boost up and promote a startup enterprises. Core objective is to generate a maximum employment, to boost up the banking and financial sector, be a job creator. Then why remain a job seeker? Become a job provider. Then if we talk about stage, as I've already told you, so 4 types of a stage are defined under the startup. Ideation stage. Ideation stage, this is a stage where the entrepreneur has an idea in his mind which he wants to convert into a business opportunity. You are at an ideation stage. This is a startup funding stage where the entrepreneur has an idea and is working on bringing it to the life. Validation stage. This is a stage where you begin to get the work out about your product and gain your first customer. Here, you find out whether or not your company is truly viable. Also called the seed, you can say seed stage. Here, the startup conducted field trials, test for a product on a few potential customers, onboard mentors, and build a formal team. Startups at this stage generally explore the following funding sources. Another is at early tractions. This stage comes when the startup has launched its product and service in the market. Key performance indicator KPI such as customer base, revenue, app download extras become important at this stage. And another last stage is scaling. At this stage, startup try to add revenue at the faster rate while also increasing efficiency. Here, the funding rounds raised by the startups are series B, C, D, and E. Common funding sources by the utilizing these areas, right? So some important startup jargons which are using startup incubator. What do you mean by the incubators? So incubator is a workplace created to offer early stage startup access to all the resources they need under one roof. They provide office space, mentoring, business services, funding, networking opportunity to the incubatees. Incubator help in the following areas: help with the business basis, networking opportunity, market assistance, high-speed internet access, accounting, financial management assistance, access to the banks, loan funds, guarantee program, connection to the strategic partners, help with the business etiquettes, intellectual property management, and legal counsels. So some of the famous incubators like Science and Technology Entrepreneurs Parks, People First, IIM Calcutta, and DTU. Accelerator. So business accelerators are the organization that offer companies a wide range of support services and opportunity to require a fund to the new company, that is a startups. So an accelerator is typically for a 3 or 4 months program for a startup at early transaction and scaling stage. Accelerator may take up a set amount of a seed equity from the startup in exchange of a capital and mentorship. So if we talk about the difference between the business accelerator and incubators, so business accelerator are the organization. They offer the company a wide range of support services and opportunity to acquire a fund to a new company, that is a startup. They enroll the company in a month-long program. If we talk about incubator, it is an organization that helps the startup by providing shared option space. They offer a company access to the capital investment and return of equity. They support young enterprises by providing a network opportunity mentoring services. If we talk about the accelerator, design of this program provide the best of both the world of startup as well as the investors. They run as a not-profit organization. Incubator run as a not-profit organization. These are the better than the accelerator to encourage slow growth because there is no time frame in their program. And the investor don't need to waste their time in a tracking and evaluating the new startup. Accelerator are like a gold mine of the resources of the startups. So these are the some jargons we can see. What do you mean by the angel investors, seed funding, key advantage, intellectual. So now we can move with the key advantage of the startup. So first is IPR, intellectual property rights, fast tracking of a startup patent application. So in case of IPRs, what types of a services if you are having a startup India certificate? Fast tracking of a startup patent application. If you have invented something and you apply for the patent registration and you are having a DIIF certificate, you can apply to the IPR department, like the patent department, that you are a startup, eligible startup. Your examination will be take the speed from the department government as compared to the other application pending for the approval. Panel for the facilitator to assist in the IP application. There is some other panels is also there, facilitators who assist IP application and rebate on filing of application. If you file for the trademark, you will get the 50%. For the patent, you will get the 80%. Already told you about the relaxation in a public procurement. Government of India has authorized its ministry, department, and public sector undertaking to relax the norm in a public procurement. Startup are entitled to avail exemption on the prior turnover, prior experience on money deposit. Means you have to avail exemption if you are a startup. You have not to deposit any security amount while getting any tender from the Government of India. Self-certification under the labor and environmental law. Startups are allowed to self-certify their compliances under 9 labors and 3 environmental laws. Right? We can skip for this part. Faster exit for the startup. Ministry of Corporate Affairs has notified the startup fast track from enabling them to wind up of operation within a 90 days as compared to 180 days from the other companies. Then taxes, that is a very much important about the Startup India scheme. Tax exemption for 3 years. To recognize a startup that are granted inter-ministerial board certificate. So you will get the DIIPP. Then again you have to apply to another certificate. That is another certificate that is called the inter-ministerial board certificate. And are exempted from the income tax for a period of 3 consecutive years out of the 10 years since the incorporation. So you can decide according to the need of the startup in which 3 consecutive years you want to take the benefit, right? For example, you have incorporated a company in the year 2022 and you can call it, and you have applied for the DIIP certificate. You can call your company, private limited company, as a startup in the year 2032, and after that if you are applying, now after getting the DIIP certificate, you must apply for the inter-ministerial board certificate, right? If you will get the certificate, you can decide that in the 10 years of a business, in which 3 consecutive years you are declaring your startup as a tax holiday, you can say, or a tax assumption. For example, in the year from the first 3 years, your startup is at a loss. Next 3 years, your startup is at a break-even point. After that, you will get lot of profit in the year 7th, 8th, and 9th. You can assume your startup as a profit-making startup in the year 7th, 8th, or 9th year. You can take the benefit from the tax holiday, tax haven, or tax exemption for the consecutive 3 years. Startup incorporated on or after 1st April 2016, but before 1st April, on or after 1st April 2016, but before 1st April 2000 can apply for an income tax exemption under 80IC of the Income Tax Act. So you will get the benefit from the other income tax acts. That is very technical. Once you will get into the provision, you will came to know about these things. Challenges faced by the startups. So, in a recent study, Entrepreneur India by the IBM Institute found that 90% of Indian startups fail within the first 5 years. And the most common reason for failure is lack of innovation. 77% of a venture capitalist survey believe that the Indian startup lack of new technology. Planning, as the saying goes, if you fail to prepare, prepare to fail. So don't leave the details to later. Lack of innovation, human resources and poor business ethics, and funding is a major problem. So that is the funding. As of now, if there is any other question, please feel to ask. We can, yes.
Sir, actually, I had a question that currently I'm a student and I have my own proprietorship company. But if for future I go for MBA in any other country, so
Okay.
how can I manage that company? Is it that I can operate that from that country only, or I have to give the rights to someone else?
Got it. You are very you are asking a very valid point. So there is a concept of a directorship and the shareholder management. So you can appoint any person as a directorship for the management of the company, right? Although so you can do anything in any part of the country. For example, you have incorporated a business in India. You are having a position of directorship as well as the position of shareholder. You can do it, and if you are outside the India, you can do the business. Apart from that, you can do one thing, that you can only take the ownership of the company and pass on the directorship to the any other person. So directors are the employee of the company. Shareholder are the owners of the company, right?
So can I manage that company from there only, or
Yes. You can.
And can I also run that operations in that country also, like the services that I'm giving in India? So can I, instead of registering for anything else in that company?
Right. You can.
Oh, okay.
One
Thank you, sir.
person, one person can become the director in more than 14 companies. That is the 15 companies, and you can become a shareholder in any number of companies. So there is no restriction, but you have to comply with the rules and regulations fall under that country as well as in the India, right?
Okay, sir. So, sir, one question also, that
Yes.
will I be taxed on the regulations of India or the regulations of US in that case?
Very good. So, for example, if any amount you have incurred in the India only, you have to pay the tax in India only. If any amount you have arising and using the resources from that point of a country, you have to pay the taxes there only, right?
Okay, sir. So, sir, one more question. Like Keeman Islands, can I register my one of the company in the Keeman Islands and run my operations in India and then transfer some of the money from Indian company to that Keeman Islands company, so as to
So
make
we have to check the transaction. We have to comply with the FEMA, Foreign Exchange Management Act. There is a separate act. FEMA, we have to be checked it. And we have to check the income tax rules, in which if the any amount in if any amount uh, earned by the applicant at the home ground of the country, that has to be pay income tax to the income tax department of the India, and any amount which is to be earned at the ground of that foreign country, you have to make the payment. Once you transfer the amount from one country to the another, from the saving account, from the debt, we have to comply with the FEMA income tax or any other code of a law which is prevail at the foreign country. That is allowable. Most of the client are doing the same things.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So any other one want to ask any question?
I have a question about patent. Sir,
Yeah.
in the patent, do we just have to specify the interface of the product, or we have to specify its implementation?
For filing a patent application, you have a two option. First, you can file a patent application as a provisional application. For example, if you have any innovation and your innovation is not yet completed, right? And you must have a afraid that if you will not disclose these things, any other person will copy it and file the patent application. In that scenario, you must have to apply a trademark application with the provisional specifications, and within a 12 months, by filing the provisional specification, you must have to comply with the complete specification. Once you file the complete application, you must have to apply for the examination. But for examination of your application under under the form 18, for applying examination, if you are having a valid startup certificate, you can apply for the expedited application. Your patent application will be processed very fast as compared to the other application pending before the court of law.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Any other question? Okay, so we can move ahead with the PPT. So there is a funding. Is my PPT is visible?
Yes, sir.
Right. So if we talk about the stage of funding, so stage of fundings, pre-seed funding. What do you mean by the pre-seed funding? Known as a pre-seed funding, this stage typically refer to the period in which the company's founder are the first getting their operation off the ground. So the most common pre-seed funders are the founders themselves, as well as the close friend, supporters, and the families. That is the subscription money, you can say, pre-seed funding. Depending upon the nature of the company and the initial cost set up by the developing the business idea, this funding stage can happen very quickly or may take a long time. During this time, getting funding from the external investors is almost impossible, as the company is still in the ideation stage and has not yet started generating revenue. At the time of ideation stage, you must have getting a funding from is almost impossible, because no one want to invest a company which is at the ideation stage. Then seed funding. Seed funding is a first official equity funding stage. It is typically represent the first official money that a business venture or enterprise raises. You can think of a seed funding as a part of an analogy for the planting a tree. This earlier financial support is ideally the seed which help to grow the business. There are many potential investors in the seed funding: founders, friends, family, incubators, venture capitalist companies, and more. One of the most common types of investor participating in seed funding is called angel investors. Then Series A funding. At the ideation stage, after crossing the ideation stage, you have to be filed you can take the Series A funding, Series B funding, that is the up to this. So So the most common, biggest question facing a startup, fundraising. So you have to be very much clear if you want to successful your startup. How much fund I raise? When should I raise the money? At what stage should I not? What are the relevant source of finance for me? How should I prioritize them? How much equity should I give? How much should I give equity when I'm unable to value my startup? How should I reach out the investors? What is the right and structure instrument? Right? How much need fund should I raise? More is always better, right? Not so fast. Raising a more money than you need can actually hurt your business. Like idle money padi hai, raising too little, raising too much, or else to spend. So you have to very much clear about the startups funding. So key takeaways are dilute phase wise. Offloading of initial equity should ideally be below 10%. Negotiate hard through your strength and USP. Don't take, that is very much important. Don't take money blindly. Most of the time, if any startup is arising, if any other one person want to invest a company, they will be very happy that they want you are the funding will they attract the funding. So don't take money blindly. Always have a majority control on your company, and ideally term as sign sheets. So we can skip the part of these things, waves of fundings, crowdfunding, angel fundings. That is only the theoretical part. So I will try to give you some practical examples, like so trademark, so IPRs. If we talk about protection of IPRs, so protection of IPRs, so it means a legal right resulted from the intellectual activity in the industrial, scientific, literary, and artistic work. So intellectual property is a property that arises from the human intellect and is a product of a human creation. So intellectual property divided into two parts, literary and artistic work and industrial property. So if we talk about the literary and artistic works, what do you mean by the literary and artistic work? They are the books, painting, musical compositions, plays, movies, radio, TV programs, performance, and other artistic works. How they are protected? They are protected by the copyright. And so IPR is divided into two parts, literary and artistic work and the industrial property. So literary and artistic work, that is protected by the copyright. And other thing is industrial property. So industrial property describes the physical matter that is a product of an idea, concept of a commercial purpose. How they are protected? They are protected by the patent objects, trademark, industrial design, trade secrets, layout design, and geographical indications. So I will give you one example. One product, many IPR. If we'll take the example of a pen, if I am holding any pen, right? So पेटेंट एट द पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम इनिशियली क्या होता था कि हम शाई के मतलब मोर के पंख के साथ हम उसको यूज करते थे. सो इफ एनी पर्सन थिंक अबाउट कि देयर patent for the fountain pen that store ink, that at that point of a time, that is the invention. If there is any invention, that is a patent. Then utility model for the grip and pipette for the injection of ink, that is a design. Industrial design, smart design with the grip in the shape of an arrow. And trademark provided on the product that the packaging to distinguish from one pen to another. Like you are using a pen of Parker, you can using a pen of Flair, you can using a pen of Reynolds, and so on. So one product, many IPR. So if we talk about the intellectual property law in India, there is a several law like Trademark Act, Copyright Act, Design, Patent, GI, Semiconductor, and Production of a plants and variety farm sites. So terms of registration, you must be aware. So which this slide is very much important because most of the time, if you will apply for any trademark certificate or any IPR certificate, that is valid for a limited period of time. You must be renewed that. For if you're talking about the trademark, that is a valid for the 10 years from the date of filing. Why I'm doing the bold and italic? From the date of filing, not from the getting the certificate of trademark certificate. For example, you have applied the trademark in the year 2010. I'm just taking the example in the year 2010, and you will get the certificate in the year 2014. So in the 2014, so your trademark is valid from the date of filing. That means your trademark is valid till the year 2020. Not from the 24. So 10 years from the date of filing Trademark, design 10 years from the date of filing. Patent, 20 years from the date of filing. And GI, that is a 10 years from the date of filing. And if we talk about the copyright, so copyright is divided into two parts: literary, dramatic, and musical and artistic work. That is a valid from the lifetime of the author plus 60 years to the if the author dies, to the legal heirs or legal successors. And if it is a cinematographic film, sound records, government works, public undertaking, that is a valid for a 60 years. So most of the time we are confused what you mean a trademark. So trademark means a name. You can, like a Coca-Cola is a name. So you can trademark your name as a Coca-Cola is a name as a trademark. Logo type. So you can trademark your logo as a trademark. So that is a logo of Nike. Symbol. You can use a symbol as a trademark. You can use a slogan, I'm loving it, as a trademark. Right? You can use your trademark as a shape of a goods, or you can color your trademark as a trademark act. So there is a registration, although there is a very technical, so I'm skipping this part. You have to first search, then filing the application, then there is an examination. If you'll get the hearing, there is a long process. So as of now, if you are applying for a trademark, you will, if there is no objection at the department side or the general public side, you will get the trademark certificate within a 5 to 6 months. As of now, nowadays, a practice is going to follow. But if the objection will be raised, then you will get the trademark certificate 2 year or 3 year down the line. So trademark is valid for a 10 years from the date of application, which may be renewed for a further period of 10 years on the payment of prescribed fees. For filing a government fees, 4,500 or 9,000 fees. That is the online fees, 9,000. If you are having a Startup India certificate, the government fees is 4,500. If you are applying any trademark with your name, then the government fees is 4,500. So you must be little bit knowledge about the IPRs and the registration process. Once you will get the certificate, you will get the trademark certificate or Startup India certificate. You must aware about the funding part. Now you must be aware about the license and registration which is required for the startup. For applying for a business license, adhering to the labor law, GST registration. So there is a threshold limit. If you are doing any business, right, and your turnover is exceeded 40 lakh rupees, then you have to be compulsory apply for the GST registration. For a service part, that is a 20 lakh rupees. Udyog Aadhaar registration, that is a MSME certificate. If you are doing any business with the product of a foods, you have to be applied for a food registrations and licenses. Food registration, FSI registrations, bolte we can say. If you are doing any business with the import and export, then you must be applied for an importer exporter code number. If you are doing a business in small area, you must have a office and you have to apply a shop and establishment act license, and other license and registration you have to be there. And certain types of a business that involve a dealing or providing an insurance, financial. If you are dealing with the insurance, you must take a permission from IRDAI. If you are doing giving any financial services, you must take a prior approval from the Reserve Bank of India, right? Like if any person asked earlier that they are doing a business, but bank take a note from them regarding the MLM. So they have to take the financial market approval from the financial market. Further, a business may also obtain a permit from the fire department, pollution control board, and maybe a local healthcare system. It all depends on the type of a business you are willing to operate. Hence, prior to starting a business, make sure you discuss your business with the professional to understand the legal and regulatory framework. Once you will get the certificate, you have to incorporate a contract, necessary contracts and agreement with the founders agreement, employees agreement, non-disclosure agreement, website terms and condition privacy policies, right? Some general mistake by the entrepreneur which must be avoided: choosing wrong legal structure for a business. They are not aware about the advantage and disadvantage of choosing wrong legal structure for a business. not making the deal clear with the co-founders. Otherwise, there will be happen a dispute between the co-founders. Non-execution of non-disclosure agreement while discussing the business. Lack of employment documentation with the employee of the company. Not carefully considering the IP protection, intellectual property protection. They are not much having an idea about how to protect them. Not having a good terms of a use agreement, a privacy policy of your websites. Failure to obtain the necessary license and agreement because they are not aware about the license and permissions required. So in the court of law, ignorance of law is not an excuse. You can't say that we don't know about this law. So ignorance of law is not an excuse. Non-compliance with the laws, security laws, thinking any problem can be solved later. Most of the time, Indian can see any legal problem we can solve later on. So you have to be very careful. So that is my PPT and that is my contact number. So I'm open for a question answer round. If anyone want to ask any question, I can able to help you out.
We will request our participants to ask their questions one by raising hands. Yes, first, please go ahead.
So I had a question that if I bought some raw material from a person like retailer, and I give him the GST number. Oh, I give that to on GST number. So I actually मतलब एक मिनट मतलब मैंने एक रिटेलर से कुछ सामान खरीदा और उस पे GST पे करा और
ठीक है.
आगे जाके उसने वो GST उसको गवर्नमेंट को पे नहीं किया. So will I also be liable for him not paying the GST?
Yes.
So or on what grounds?
On what grounds? So you have supplier services or a product to the company or to the vendor, right?
Yes, sir.
And you have raised a bill.
Yes, sir.
For example, you have raised a bill of 10,000 rupees, right? And in that case, and 10,000 rupees, for example, I'm taking example of 18%. So you have raised a bill of rupees 1100, 10,000, 18% यानी कि 11,800 रुपीज टोटल अमाउंट, राइट? 1,800 रुपए का आपका जीएसटी बना रहे. अब नाउ 11,800 rupees you have received from the vendor, right?
Yes, sir.
And that 1,800 should be paid by you only, ना?
No, sir. I'm saying कि अब मेरे पास 1,800 रुपए हैं जो मुझे जीएसटी में गवर्नमेंट को पे करने हैं. नाउ बट मैंने कुछ रॉ मटेरियल खरीदा था जो
you have taken the input.
Yes, sir.
You have taken the input, right? And you have taken the input and set off your liability, GST liability, and you paid that amount, right?
Yes,
and the amount which you have taken as an input, that vendor has not paid our input to the tax to the government, right?
Yes, sir.
And are you liable? Yes, you are liable, but if you are having they will issue a show cause notice to you. You have to consider that we have a regular worker and we have this certificate number and we have a genuine buyer and we have deposited all the GST compliances. Then you have to return down all the things to the department. They will not ask you for any other further queries, right? To check it whether this input is valid or not, they can ask for as a show. They can issue a show cause notice.
Okay, so मतलब I only need to clarify कि मैंने
yes. If you are a genuine, because in the market, अगर मैं आपको open sense में बताऊं, in the market there is a concept. पहले VAT में भी होता था और आज GST में भी बहुत कम हो चुका है. लोग एक से प्रोडक्ट लेते हैं, दूसरे को बेचते हैं और गवर्नमेंट को टैक्स नहीं जमा कराते हैं, जिसकी वजह से जो उसके पीछे की जो चेन होती है वो खुल जाती है. इसलिए उनको ये बहुत क्लियरली department is very strict nowadays. GST department is very strict nowadays. They immediately issue a show cause notice. You have to prove in the GST department that we are valid, we are a genuine, we are having a bona fide intention, we are not having a malified intention. So they can remove your case from the GST department. So they can ask for a notice, right?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Any other?
participants are asking if you can share the PPT with us.
Definitely, I will. Do you have any other WhatsApp number? Oh, sorry, WhatsApp group number you have created for this event or not?
What's up?
Do you have any WhatsApp group number? You have created any WhatsApp group for this event or not?
Yes, sir. We
No,
have
sir.
a WhatsApp group of
We'll
SLE.
share the number with you.
Yes, yes. Otherwise, that is my WhatsApp number. You can save it, right? I have sent it to the chat box, right? So if anyone person wants to ask me, I will share my PPT. There is no problem, right?
So one more question I have, like, what is the right time to start a startup? It's like people say that you must have some experience in corporate life, or you should have some skills or something.
Definitely. My suggestion is also the same, because don't jump into the things because we don't have any experience, we don't have any resources. In my slide I have already informed that most of the time startup will fail in the month 5 years, within a span of 5 years. So you must have enough resources, you must have enough resources as well as experience and enough innovations. Then you have to be entered into the startup. First, you have to take experience.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Side by side, you must apply from your protection like IPR, intellectual property. If you are having a good innovation and you are thinking, so you can apply side by side with your individual name. Don't think you have to incorporate a private limited company or a LLP or a business setup. You can apply in your individual name, that is your own property. If you are having any good name as a trademark, you can apply with the individual name. Later on, that name can be used by your own company. That is called the assignment. For example, right now I'm not in the position to start a business in a long run, but I have some ideas, I have some good brand in my mind, so I can register a trademark or a patent with the name of Vivek Sharma. And if my idea will be converted into reality, or if I can use it when I incorporate a LLP, partnership firm, or any business entity, I can do it. That is your personal property. IPR is your personal property, right?
Okay, sir.
So one more question.
Yes.
So how will we get to know that a certain idea already exists if we don't have the direct access to the patent of these ideas?
Yes, you are absolutely right. Although you have to search for the patent while filing, that's why I'm saying most of the time we have filed the patent application in a specific. Either you can apply for the specific or the complete specification, right? You have to take the help from the Google, or you can take the help from the Google or any social media site, and you have to apply to the patent only. And once your application examined, they have checked whether it is a patentable subject or not. Like a trademark, you can search a public search from the trademark department, that is called ipindia.gov.in. You can search it as a trademark. But regarding the patent, you have to be applied to the patent department, and you have to take the help from the Google or any social media or other searching engine.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Any other question? I have seen one question in chat box.
There is, that was I was about to say. There is one question from Vivek.
So question from Vivek is, in reviewing the trademark, can we review it before the end period of that trademark?
Very important or good question, right? So I have already informed that the trademark is valid for 10 years from the date of filing. Just I am taking a simple example. For example, I have applied trademark in the year June 2010, right? and I will get the certificate in the year 2014. So my trademark expiry date is June 2020, 10 years from the date of filing. So when I can renew it, I can renew before the 6 months from my expiry date. So my trademark expiry date is June 2020. So I can apply from 1st January 2020 to 30th June 2020, 6 months prior to my renewal date. For example, I can do it with the normal fees. I can do it. For example, I failed to renew it. Then after the 30th June, again the government of India will give you a 6 month additional that you can have last chance, that is called the 6 months. You can renew your trademark. Yani ki 30th December 2020 is your last date to renew your trademark with the additional fees, that is called the surcharge. So you have to pay normal fees plus additional surcharge, that is called the late fees. Again, you forgot to file 30th of December 2020. Again, that is the only last chance. Again, 6 months will be given by the government of India. That is called the restoration fees. Then you have to file. The last chance is 30th June 2021. So you have to pay normal fees, additional fees, and restoration fees. Now, if you forget to renew after the restoration time is also lapsed, then the trademark is not yours. That is open for a public from next 1 year. Right? So the simple answer is that. So question is, sir, so in renewing a trademark, can we renew it before the end of that trademark? Yes, before the 6 month from the date of expiry, you can do it.
Sir, as you said in your session earlier, that in case of LLP, so until unless the turnover is let's say equal to or less than 40 lakhs, there is no
Yes.
audit, right?
Yes.
So don't you think that if the turnover, if so, a company can fudge their numbers in that case, and it will actually cause some ethical issues?
No. So in case of a LLP, they have given a relaxation that if your turnover is less than 40 lakh, you don't require to appoint your your books of accounts audit from the chartered accountant, right? You can just take the help from the accountant or any other professional to get your balance sheet drafted and signed by you and filed to the income tax department and filed to the ROC, Registrar of Company. But in case of a private limited company, OPC or public limited company, you have to appoint an auditor compulsory by the law within a 30 days from the incorporation. You can't give the excuse that our turnover is nil, our business is not yet started. You have to compulsory appoint an auditor in your company. So this is a difference between the LLP and the company, right?
Okay, sir. And so one more question I had was, so when a company generally is get funded by private equity, right? So the agreement for funding usually includes some kind of performance requirements or reporting, right? So the entrepreneurs could face that ethical issues in business of fudging his data or product development update if he hasn't quite reached the goal.
So Jaskaran, can you explain your question again?
So in case of supposedly I started a startup and I got
Right.
a funding from private equity investor, and it was based on a kind of agreement that I'll reach up to these performance standards and I'll get this much of market share, or let's say whatever goals I have milestone I've set. So
Right.
supposedly if I know that I haven't achieved those goals, and if I report the same to my investor, then the
Right.
funding will be slow for the future, right?
Yes.
So in order to avoid that, I could fudge my numbers to say that I have achieved my goals.
Yes, it's a vice versa situation. That is only depending upon the investors and your agreement. If you have drafted the agreement in that manner, that you have to first to prove this key parameters. If you cross this limit, then you will get this type of amount. Then it only depend upon the agreement which you have drafted or mutual decision between the investors and the startup. Right?
Okay, sir.
Yes. Because if anyone want to invest the money, Although they can give you a deadline that you have to complete these types of things, you have to be focus on these things, then our startup will improve for generating a revenue. They can put some conditions to the startup, right? If you fulfill, then I will infuse more equity or more funding to the startups. So that is at the time of, that's why I'm saying you must be very clear about the agreement, right? You must be clear about the agreement at the initial stage.
So one more
Okay.
thing, as I have seen from my experience that the foreign investor invest more as compared to the Indian investors. So
Right,
how
right.
so how can we reach to them?
So there is, once you incorporated a company or you are having a good malab, first you have to complete your documentation parts, right? You have incorporated a company, you have get the certificate from the DIIF, you have a good idea, then you can pitch your pitch. You can take a help from the accelerator, you can take a help from incubators, even you can take a help from the mentors. If you log in today only, you have to log into Startup India website. There is a lot of networks is available. Apart from that, that's why I'm saying, because I have seen in my past that most of the time, if the foreign invest in any startup, they are very particular about the documentation part, because first they have to very ensure that you are a compliance making company or what, and they will check your they will hire one professional to due diligence your company. First of all, your documentation should be strong, your compliance should be strong. Like I have told you that your letterhead should be comply with the requirement. You have to issue a share certificate to the subscriber. Apart from the share certificate, you have to pay the exact stamp duty to the department, whether you have to be, because foreigners are very particular about the court of law. So they don't want to invest in any company which is not comply with the law. So they are very particular about the law. Apart from how you will get the lead, you have to be very you have to take the help from the incubators, accelerators, mentors, or your network. You have to create your network.
Okay, sir.
So, like the first step of raising a fund is through family friends, but
Yes.
there are some friends that want to invest in the company, like they want to invest 5 lakh rupees, but
Yes.
still they want like a documentation, like an agreement
Yes.
to know whether they have
Definitely.
invested some of the money, even though the company is not registered either in sole proprietorship or private limited.
Right.
So how one can account for that? Is it only the agreement which will work or something else?
So if anyone want to invest a company, first they have drafted an agreement. Apart from that, they will ask the equity in your company, right? So once you incorporate a company, you have to give the equity also, because there is a two terms. One is to get the funding either as an equity or either as a loan. If you're talking about the equity, that is you want to become a member, you want to give the equity, you give the ownership of the company, then you have to issue equity. Otherwise, you must take a loan from your friends and family, or you can issue a debentures, right? So debentures or loan should be repaid with the interest, right? So you have to very careful. If you're taking any money from your friends and family, you have to very much clear about whether you are taking a money as a equity or a debenture or a loan, right? For
What
example,
is asked
yeah.
whether how will one account for that? Like they have not registered the company and they don't want to register the company until the point that their product is like
No, no.
developed.
You have incorporated a company and you take the funding from any individual, well, your friends and family, but they don't want to incorporate a company. Na? So individual, for example, you are my friend and you have a good idea. You came to me and tell that you want some money as a funding or pre-seed funding. So I have heard about your idea. Now I want to invest 5 lakh rupees in your company. Whatever I am doing, I am the shareholder of your company. So it's between you and me. I will ask you, for example, I am giving a 5 lakh rupees. What you will give in return of that 5 lakh rupees? You said either you have a two option. You said you can become a equity shareholder of my company. I said okay, then give me a share certificate. I will become your shareholders. Once your startup will be in a profit making company, my amount will be also increasing day by day, right? Or you can say that only give me a 5 lakh rupees for a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. I will pay your money in 3 year down the line with the interest. So I will say, okay, I will give you 5 lakh rupees, right? So you have to be pay me after 3 year down the line with the interest. So it's all depending upon the agreement between this. Whether I am incorporate a company or not, it doesn't mean shareholder don't have any company or any business entity. The person who is taking the money should have a business entity. Got it?
Who is taking the money or giving the money?
Who is taking the money? You are taking the money. You must have to incorporate a company, no?
Okay.
I am the shareholder, I am the individual. You can take a money from your father, mother, sister. So they don't require to incorporate a company to give a money to any other person. I am the investor. For example, today you want to buy a share from a Reliance. Should you require to incorporate a company to buy the share of Reliance?
So I got that, but मतलब बस यही पूछना चाह रहा था, अगर मुझे कंपनी रजिस्टर नहीं करवानी, मैं चाह रहा हूँ कि बस पैसे मिल जाए, अभी पैसे मिल जाए, प्रोडक्ट डेवलप कर दूं, तो उस केस में मुझे एग्रीमेंट बनाना होगा.
एग्रीमेंट ही होगा, एग्रीमेंट बिटवीन बोथ ऑफ यू. बट उस केस में आप उनको इक्विटी नहीं दे सकते ना. शेयर होल्डिंग कैसे दे दोगे? फिर तो आपको उसको लोन दिखाना होगा या फिर एज अ फ्रेंड लोन ही दिखाना पड़ेगा. दैट इज कॉल्ड द शॉर्ट टर्म लोन.
Okay.
Because once the identity is not incorporated, so how can you give the equity to that company? Because that is not existence at the time of giving the equity, na?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
I'm sharing one interesting things with you. As Jivika is asked how we can take the. Is my PPT, my screen is visible?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So this is the startupindia.gov.in site. We'll get the certificate from DIIF. So you have to be focused. So now you can see this. First, you have created your profile from this, like login, registered, right? Apart from that, you can see the network, like connect with the incubators. So 822 are incorporated as the incubators. Connect with the government, connect with the investor. Pitch your idea, get feedback from the investor from the portal. Connect with the corporate accelerators, connect with the mentors. Got it? And most of the time, you have to be registered for any event. For example, this event is going to happen, so you have to apply, right? You can take the benefits. So learning development program is their network. You can take the benefit from this network, connections, schemes and policies. So you have to visit this website. That is strong recommendation by me. I am a host, I am a participant, right? So how to partner with us? So you have to visit this site if you want take a benefit from the Department for the Promotion of Industry and International Trade. You have to visit this website strongly, and you will get the benefit from this. I hope, Jivika, I will answer your question.
Yes, sir.
There is n number of things are also there. That is only one thing I am sharing. There is n number of things are there to get the foreign funding or any other funding.
Yes, sir. I will explore it further.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
We request all the participants to turn on their camera for a picture.
I will do one thing. I will share my PPT to the DTU, although they will send you a PPT on your WhatsApp group or whatever, right? The
So
purpose,
I will separate it among the students.
Yes. there is any other question to ask, please feel to ask.
So I think there are no more questions.
Okay.
So I will officially thank sir on behalf of Delhi School of Management, Delhi Technological University. I would like to thank CS Vivek Sharma for giving an excellent coverage on ethical and legal aspects of startup. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences and enlightening us with your extensive knowledge. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And thanks all the participants for patience in hearing and listening. And I request you, if anyone want to ask any question, they can talk me offline also. Right? Okay, bye-bye. Take care and all the very best.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.